Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Gaining Perspective with Cody Armstrong. I'm your host, Cody Armstrong, and today's topic is something that means a lot to me, and it's because it ties into another topic I have talked about, which is depression. This topic comes in the light of the fact that lead singer of Linkin Park just committed suicide, as well as Chris Cornell, as well as anybody else in history. And I'm not talking about only famous people. I'm talking about just people in general who have committed suicide. And so this topic is how to deal with suicide, or dealing with it, I guess, rather than letting it happen. It's kind of like suicide prevention, uh, handling depression sort of deal. So I guess to dive right into it, obviously I'm pretty open with the fact that I myself struggle with depression. Now, I know that after reading a lot of books that I have what is considered moderate depression. Not severe, but, it's kind of hard to gauge what level, because some days are worse than others and others are just fine, and then others are just somewhere in between that. So, beyond that, though, yeah, it pretty much shook me to my core to see, one of my favorite bands, lead singer, is just off himself. I'm sure many people felt the same way when Kurt Cobain committed suicide in the 90s. And, I also listened to Soundgarden and Audioslave and even just Chris Cornell himself. And, and then there was also Robin Williams, who committed suicide a few years ago. And so the thing about it is, why is this happening? Like, why are so many people, and not just people, but like obviously they're famous. That has very little to do with it. But why are, people are just perplexed. Why is this happening? These people are famous. They have everything. They have so many fans, so much love and support from their family, their friends, their fans. Everybody loves, like, their impact is deep, and it's tough. There's no right way to figure that out. So all I'm going to really tell you is I'm going to do a breakdown of kind of how you should probably handle a person who would come to you and say that they're feeling depressed. Now, I'm not talking about, like, I don't know. It kind of depends. Depends on how empathetic you want to be, but it can be anybody. Like, so if a person approaches you, like whether they're your coworker, a family member, a friend, even a random stranger, if somebody is going through depression, obviously, there was a large campaign a couple of years ago with It Gets Better, and that was to prevent this mass teen suicide rate that was going on, because people were so prejudiced against, they're being bullied, but they're so prejudiced against gay teenagers, lesbian teenagers, LGBTQ, that whole community. And so what they did is they came out with a campaign. And so these kids saw, I'm going off a tangent here, but these kids saw a little bit of hope of their heroes, their essentially their representatives, their heroes of their community. You're talking like Ellen DeGeneres. I'm not huge on, like, who's gay and who's not, but yeah, you have big stars like Ellen DeGeneres, and they're coming out there and they're telling you it gets better, right? So what they're doing is they're injecting hope. They're saying, hey, look at you, now look at me, look at how successful I am. I've overcome adversity, and I am here, and I'm trying to spread hope to you. It's a great way to do it. It's a good approach. Unfortunately, you'll notice that the pattern of suicides, in this case, have been middle-aged men. And you're talking about, you can do middle-aged, but, I mean, it affects men at pretty much every age. Even obviously young adults. But you're talking 18 to, like, 45 or something like that. Or maybe even 50. And then you see the fact that there are successful people out there too, and they're just killing themselves, and they're all over the news. And a lot of people are like, why? Well, there's so many people, so many other people killing themselves daily. why only these few people matter. It's not that case. You know, that's a whole other argument. But you know, when it comes to handling a person with depression, I'm kind of going to give you a step-by-step guide in my own personal what I think you should do. And what that means is, so in this case, if a person comes to you, now I'll give you the most intimate form. A family member comes to you, or a friend, a really good friend, comes to you and says, I'm feeling depressed. Or you notice that they're a little off. And you're like, hey, what's up? What's going on? And they say, I don't know, I'm just feeling a little depressed. Or I'm feeling kind of depressed. Or I'm feeling really depressed. Obviously, telling them to, you know, the worst way to handle this would be, oh, well, there's self-help lines. Or you could text this number. Or you could do this. There's self-help books. There's all these different things that you can do on your own. Doesn't work. And the reason why is because when you're in depression, and this is just a side tangent, but when you have depression, when you're deep inside of it, you'll never want to pick up a phone. You'll never want to text somebody. You'll never want to cry for help. Because if you're already too far past that, and you don't know how to handle it anymore, that's when suicide kicks in. And suicidal ideology, suicidal thoughts, but that's when it kicks in. And telling a person to reach out to someone they don't know is not going to help, especially if you're the one that they came to and you told them, like, please. So I'm not saying it doesn't work. Obviously, these helplines probably save hundreds, if not thousands, every second of every minute of every day. They probably save hundreds of thousands of lives every day, and that's great. So I'm not advocating against them. I'm just saying that if you're a person that someone who feels that they can trust you and tell you that they are feeling depressed and kind of open themselves up vulnerably, and you kind of shrug them off in a way, because that's how they're probably going to feel. It's like if you're like, oh, well, I don't know how to deal with this, so here's these resources. It doesn't help. You're not gonna help them that way. But the most intimate setting is a family member, right? So maybe your brother or your sister. It could be anybody in your immediate family, anybody outside of your immediate family. But the trick is you need to listen to them. So they come and tell you, or you ask what's going on, and then you proceed to ask, why are they feeling depressed? Like, well, what's got you down, or what do you know, what's wrong, what's the matter, you know? Any way of asking it in a non-aggressive way would be helpful, you know. Like, hey, what's going on, man? It's okay, you can talk to me about it. If you open yourself up to willing to listen to them, to be willing to listen, it changes the whole dynamic right there, right off the bat. Because if you're a person that they trust, they came to you, or you came to them, they said they're depressed, and then you proceed to open the door for conversation about it. You know, it can go a couple different ways. It can go basically like they'll proceed to tell you, and you should basically choose to empathize and relate to them in any way you can, while not overshadowing what they're going through, and then just proceed to kind of tell them, like, well, this is how I handled my situation, or, well, I mean, what do you want to do about it? Do you want to just like get your mind off it? Do you want to like go do something? And if they're like, nah, I just kind of want to just stay here, I don't know. Just depends. It's a tricky way. It's like a fucking Rubik's Cube, okay? So if you really want to, like, each twist and turn is going to make a huge change, in a way. And so, again, if they approach you, you approach them, be open. Don't close off, because if you close off immediately, the person's going to just shy away from everyone. Not just you, but everyone. They're probably going to be like, well, person number one, who I really trusted, who I thought might have my back, I don't know. I'm just going to give up, because if they don't want to hear it, then nobody else wants to hear it. And they just confirmed that nobody wants to hear it. So it's like this kind of craziness that goes on. This loop of like, nobody cares about me. So if you open yourself up to this person and say, well, what's going on, man? Like, you know, is there any way I can help? Is there anything I can do? And if nothing else, if they're already closed off, if they're already kind of like, no, I don't want to talk about it. No, I don't want to do anything. No, it's fine. If they're really sitting there like that, just tell them. Just remind them. Just be like, well, hey, man, I mean, you know, I've been through a lot in my life. And again, I know I'm not being, you know, I keep saying, hey, man, whatever. I'm just putting myself in my own shoes in a way, you know, and how I would be, how I would prefer to talk to myself in a way, or how, you know, sorry. But all I can really say is, you know, people really respond to a human caring touch. You know, I'm not talking about like, oh, actually like patting them on the back or physical touch. I'm talking about like just a humanistic feeling of like, I see who you are and I see what you're going through and I'm concerned for you and I'm here for you. That's pretty much the only cycle that can go in if you want to prevent somebody from going down a suicidal path. You know, because you got to open yourself up, because that person's already like, if they even say the words, I'm feeling depressed, they're already opening themselves up. If you approach it in an aggressive way, they're going to be like, fuck off, I don't want to talk to you, or whatever, you know, whatever they might feel. All I can tell you is it's like a Rubik's Cube. If they twist one way, twist in a different way, and try to approach it multiple times. If by the time you finish the conversation and they say, whatever, nobody cares, nobody gives a shit, just be like, that's not true, man. I mean, I know why you're feeling that way, or I understand that you might feel that way, but I care. Really, I do. I care a lot, man. So, I mean, just so you know, like, I want you to feel like you're alone or anything, because that's what depression makes you feel. You feel isolated. You feel alone in your own brain. So, if a person approaches you, and again, this could be a random stranger, it could be a coworker, it could be anybody, but if you have a caring, like, I guess a semblance of caring about any random person, and you might think that they might harm themselves, you should probably take care of it. And as far as, I don't know, as far as anything else goes, guys, I mean, I'm pretty devastated at the loss of how many people, and I myself, you know, like, I go through suicidal thoughts and wanting to go through with it, and it's not easy to ever pull yourself out of it, and it's never, all a person needs is to not feel alone. And in the darkest hour of their life, nobody wants to feel alone. And a person might feel like choosing suicide if, you know, in this case, like both Robin Williams, all of these people who killed themselves, like you're talking to like Elvis Presley, Robin Williams, Kurt Cobain, Chris Cornell, Chester Bennington. There's a plethora of suicides among the celebrity community and rock star community, and like, but they're not the only ones. I mean, you're talking veterans with PTSD kill themselves every day. You're talking probably millions of people kill themselves every single day across the world. Not just in our nation, but across the world. In our nation, it's probably 100,000, maybe more. I don't know the statistics on it, but it's a grim figure, I'm sure. And all I can really say is, like, you never know what a person can contribute. Because if you look at these people and where they came from, they were just regular people, and then they got the opportunity to go far in life. And everybody thinks that, oh, well, once you're successful, that's it, you're done. You're okay. But the fact is people are fragile. People are really, like, people need not just to be heard and not just to be successful. They need to feel like they're not alone. And your success might even put you on a pedestal alone. So just keep that in mind. Like, a person needs to not feel like they're alone. If you and you can even do this. So, like, if you ever see a person on Facebook who is on your friends list who posts up something like, well, I don't care anymore, guys, fucking out, message them. If somebody posts something about loneliness or something that, like, I don't feel like anybody cares, something like that, it is a cry for help. We all know it. But the thing is, it's stigmatized. People think that that's, oh, you're being stupid. Stop doing that. Stop acting like people are being stupid. People are really struggling. That's the thing. You might be tough enough. You might have a thick skin out there. Whoever watches this, whoever listens to this, you might have a thick skin. You might be tough enough to get through life, and you might be like, it's stupid to kill yourself. Or why would you even feel that way? I'm sure somebody loves you. Your mom loves you, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but it's not about that. It's not about amount of somebody or someone loving you. It's about hearing just someone's voice when you actually cry out for help. If you're like, hey, please help me, and nobody comes, because everybody's like, that guy's stupid. He could help himself. You're not helping. And that person, you know, doesn't make you responsible for anything, but it means that you saw it, you passed over it, and you were like, ugh, it's just being needy. No. Maybe try it. Maybe give it a shot. Just one shot, okay? So I kind of outlined what it was all about, you know. I know this one's a little bit longer, just like my last one, and, you know, I'm not trying to make these long again. But when it comes down to how to deal with depression and how to prevent suicide, it's simply, like, empathetic, like, or empathizing and, like, showing someone that they're not alone. Like, telling them that they're okay. Like, you can tell them they're okay all you want, but they know, like, within themselves something feels wrong. But if you let them know, like, I'm here for you, and I always will be, that's what helps. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening. You know, like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do. I hope that this actually maybe gets through to somebody out there, even if I don't have a wide audience, but I hope that somebody feels something came away from this video. Like, I just hope you got some sort of message and some sort of clarity on why this is such a big issue, especially to me and many other people struggling with depression. So again, I thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and please just try to take care of one another out there.